there, everyone. Welcome to Perspectives of Change. I'm your host, Sarika Kharbanda, and today we have an amazing guest, Katharina William. Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, very nice. It was exactly. I did.
Welcome, Katharina. Where are you joining us from today?
Today from Tenerife, Canary Islands, so off the coast from Africa, for those who don't know that, somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean.
That's awesome. What's the weather like today?
Well, it's blue skies, sunny, around 23, 24 degrees. That's why I came here.
Yeah, I can imagine. Okay, that's really beautiful. And today, Katharina is bringing us an amazing topic, which I'm not going to talk too much about because we're going to dive into it. But we call this topic Management 3.0, the journey from a book to real transformation. And for those of you who don't know, and I'm going to get Katharina to dive into her own introduction, shall we call it, specific introductions. I'm just going to introduce her as a leadership and change specialist or expert and a facilitation and happiness coach and CEO at Management 3.0. Of the many other roles that I believe she plays at Management 3.0, two worth mentioning and the ones that I remember. But you're going to tell us more about yourself, Katharina.
Yes. And when we first spoke and we were talking about we're going from a book to a transformation with Management 3.0, I was thinking, how did I get into Management 3.0 actually? And it also started with a book. So that's quite nice. So as you said, I'm working leadership consulting or change consulting in the beginning, like 10 years ago or something, in one of the big German corporations. So I was doing the normal change management consultancy there. And for those who did that before, it can be quite challenging sometimes. Of course, also dealing with change, but also like from the satisfactory level to do all those PowerPoint slides and then wait that 180,000 people will somehow change. And on my quest to search for different ways to do that, I stumbled upon a little book, which was called How to Change the World by Jürgen Appelo. And well, isn't that what we all want to do? How to change the world? At least that's something that I wanted to contribute to. And it's a book about change management. And basically, there are three things you can do if you want to change your organization. Or if you're not satisfied with your organization, you can ignore it, you can leave it, or you can change it. And at that time, actually, my personal satisfaction, even though it was a great company, great team, everything, I needed to leave it at that point. And because I wanted to really have an impact on an individual and I wanted to make people happy. And I just needed to break from PowerPoint slides. So what I did actually was something completely different. I went into the desert at the Red Sea and I became a diving instructor at that point because you could see that you make people happy. You bring them into a completely different world and they're just so happy afterwards. Yeah, but that just was a little side adventure. At one point I was thinking, well, maybe I want to create a little bit more change. And I kind of re-emerged in a time when the whole agile idea came from the, let's say, Agile Manifesto in IT focus to the whole organization. And that kind of hit me. And I started working as freelance consultant and leadership coach again. And while I'm researching about this, I remember this book. And I remember Management 3.0 when I went to the website and I was kind of a fan at that point. I liked the ideas, just like many other people. And I saw this job ad and they were looking for somebody to care about all the facilitators that Management 3.0 has. And that's how I came into the company. And then 1.5 years later, when our former CEO, Rolf von Roosmalen, left the company, I took over the CEO role as well. So kind of it started with a book and went then right into Management 3.0 and changing my life, definitely. And also, well, for me, still the quest of making organizations successful, but also making people happy while doing it. And that's also the mission of Management 3.0. Matchingly good.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's beautiful, right? And that was actually going to be my next question. So how did the vision of Management 3.0 and your vision, where did the intersection happen, right? What attracted you to that? And of course, this journey, and I really didn't know about the side journey of yours. So that's very fascinating. I love that. In fact, I was like, oh, I didn't know about this. And that's cool. So thank you for sharing. And I'm curious, when you onboarded this journey now with Management 3.0, tell us a little more. Tell us some enablers, some challenges. How did this journey move on?
You mean the personal journey or the Management 3.0 journey?
Both, actually. Both.
Okay. Both. So Management 3.0, for those who don't really know, I think we also have to talk about that, how that happened, how this whole journey started also with a book, Management 3.0, written by Jon Apollo as well in 2010, was a book that hit a nerve. So people, of course, were very much still in the idea, okay, the people who work in an organization, they need to be rewarded for good behavior, and they need to be kind of punished or negatively sanctioned for bad behavior. And then it will all work. This is the idea of many still performance management tools. And in this book, Jürgen described something different. He was looking at the humans themselves and how they are motivated, and how do you very actively can influence those people. And that hit a nerve, the whole mindset behind it. And just like I started my journey with a book, the whole organization started as a book, and then Björn built a team around this to offer workshops based on this book and two other books that came later, Managing for Happiness and Workout, with different tools. So we had a tool set, we had a mindset, and we had workshops in which different facilitators all over the world would teach this. And that was great because the participants who were in the workshops were enthusiastic, and they were like, hey, cool, I have a tool that I can use the very next day, and I can influence my team and also make people happy, make my team happy, and happier people work better because they're interested in keeping that happiness somehow. And at one point, the team thought, well, we want to have a greater impact. We want to not only have workshops, we want to do more. So they started out with with the idea of leadership conferences to look at, okay, what is new on the market? What is new in the ideas of leadership? And that was basically also the point when I joined the team shortly before the first conference was planned, but then the pandemic hit, and it was a big challenge for in-person conferences, as you know.
Yeah, so that was quite a journey too. I mean, and I can also comment to that because I am myself a facilitator, right, with Management 3.0. So tell us a little more also of this shift in journey, because this is like a courageous journey now, trying to do everything online or not, right? So it's a question. Yes. So what really happened? Tell us something more about that journey in the Management 3.0 team. Lighten us.
So basically I joined 1 month before the pandemic hit. It hit Europe. It was already in Asia. And we were focusing on in-person workshops. You were focusing on in-person workshops as a facilitator. And suddenly everybody had to stay home, right? So big challenge for everybody. And before we were believing, okay, we need to be all together in one room, and we need to really spark the enthusiasm. But of course that doesn't work in a pandemic. We knew it was not going away in 2 weeks. So we changed to online workshops. Of course, that was also for us a challenge because we had to develop different guidelines or different ways to give facilitators the support to do those online workshops that they haven't done before. Most of you were in-person people. So that was challenging, but it also brought us on a journey to develop more different workshops. First, we had one, the foundation workshop, where we explained different the basics of leadership and different ways how to have impact in our organization. We call this the views of Marty, as you know, like different business development views. And then we could develop more workshops and different topics and bring that to the online. But there was also a very interesting thing in that time, because we also encourage people to, of course, practice what they learned in a workshop. So we do have something that's called certificate of practice. And you know it because you did it as well as a practitioner. And it's about people implementing and experimenting with our tools now, our practices.
Right.
So, of course, people do that, and you did that with things you do in your workplace. But people were not in their workplace. So we could see that people came to us and shared their stories about implementing our practices at home. So they created happiness doors in their families with their spouses and with, for example, their teenage kids or something. Or they did kudo cards where they appreciated certain things in their homes. And that is for me also something where I see, okay, the basic principles or the thinking behind Management 3.0 and the tools that we have, that is not focused just on work. It is focused on interactions between people. And it doesn't actually matter in which environment this is. So that was fun. That was fun to see during the pandemic. And well, in the end, it gave us lots of chances. Now we are seeing that basically almost like half of the workshops are done online, and the other ones done in person. Now that everybody has the choice if they do it in person or not. But it's a significant amount that is now online, and it brings it to way more people. That's great.
Yeah, I love that fact that, you brought this from the point of, happy people, successful organizations. That's where it started, and not the other way, that successful organizations don't necessarily create happy people. It's generally the other way, but it's a good mix of both, of course. And then the challenges through online. And I think the biggest point that you brought out here for me was, and it's really important for our viewers and listeners, it's not that you can just, take the in-person workshop and throw it out online, because I still see a lot of people doing that. And this was so very different, making sure that this works as an online workshop. And I have sensed and experienced all the challenges that your team there in Management 3.0 has also had. We've all gone through that journey together, and it's amazing. It's very courageous. It's very co-creative, because you've also taken a lot of our feedback. And I think that's something that, facilitators like myself would resonate with the community, because you take a lot of feedback, you work with that feedback, and then, you take action after that. So, but that's the Management 3.0 journey, the organizational journey so far. What was happening with you there in the personal journey? Tell us a little in parallel of that now.
Well, for me, basically, that was the first time that I really worked in a remote-only environment, or not remote-only team. I was working remotely before, but remote-only team. And for me, the biggest lesson learned about this was that I can grow very close to my colleagues, even though it's remote. Like I'm friends with many of those. We have beautiful interactions. Also then in person when we meet. So that was a great thing. And for me, well, I was sitting on my island here, far away from everybody and from the pandemic, enjoying the weather. But for me, it was like, you have to understand that Management 3.0, we are always working in both. We are working in Management 3.0 as a company, but we are also working in our personal businesses. So for me, I worked as a leadership coach next to Management 3.0. That was great. I started also for Management 3.0 doing some keynotes. That is easier, of course, online because you don't have to travel that much. That's great. So that was my personal journey where I kind of found a home. I found a home in Management 3.0 and in my life like that. That's kind of stabilizing me. Yeah. So that's the personal. But like for Management 3.0, it didn't stop there. It's just not like, okay, we're going online and then everything will be fine. So there are a couple of more things. First, like we saw that people go to the workshop and they're enthusiastic, but then what? Or they cannot go to a workshop. They just read about Management 3.0. They would love to implement it, but they don't have the guidance to do that, except like books that don't really speak, can read it. So what we did was we created a membership community for leaders, but also agile coaches. And my colleague Sarah is doing an amazing job with that. I think she will be on the podcast as well at one point. Mm-hmm. And she will explain more how she does that. But it's a safe space where leaders can meet and where they can exchange and where they can practice certain leadership techniques. So that was also like how we wanted to bring this idea to more people. But still, for me, that's not, it's not enough. For me personally, and also for the company not, because we're still not changing the world. So we still need more.
And knowing you, I'm sure you'll be like, what can we do to get more, and help more, right?
Exactly. Because we have now those leaders, we have their teams, and they are like, okay, we are practicing this, and this is working, and this is great. And then they're in an organization like an island, and they cannot really spread it because the organization itself still has this command and control of very hierarchical thinking. So this is now where we are, where we say, okay, we need to tackle the whole organization. And this doesn't work just with one workshop or with 10 workshops. We need to look there that there are internal change agents who know who are experts with Management 3.0 and can work in there without having like to get more external people, because every external coach, for me, the task in the end is to make themselves unnecessary, their work, and then at one point they're unnecessary. But we have internal change engines that should stay there. And we should have like real transformation programs that are based with the mindset of Management 3.0. And here's like something I was thinking about when I prepared for this meeting, and this is how people react when they hear there is a change. And it doesn't even matter like if it's a good or a bad change. Like just the way, okay, there is a change coming. At least in my work, I oftentimes saw that there is a negative feeling towards it. It's like a conditional response if you hear the word change. Oh my God, we have to change something. I don't know. Do you see that the same in your work as a change manager?
Definitely see that. So here's the thing. I think it's how people like us who are change agents, whether external or internal, how do we interpret change, right? And the moment people say, oh, that team's pushing back, or if people are pushing back, I'm always curious and I don't want to push back, because then otherwise I'm just giving my side of the change or imposing my side of the change or thinking of change on people. For me, it's always about wanting to understand. So if you are thinking about this change negatively, or if you're pushing back, why is that? What is it that you know that I don't know, right? Yeah. And we just want to extract more and more of that and build over it. And of course, I can go on and on talking about it, but I think it's really us as change agents who want to balance how we behave as change agents when we see that negative reaction, because that's inevitable, isn't it, Katharina? I mean, look at how we all behaved differently when COVID hit us. Think about that. That was like the big global change. So, and every country behaved differently with how they, gave instructions, made their norms. So did all of us like jump and say, hey, we love change and, we're going to make it happen? Well, I know there were so many people who were like, not sure, and then there were others who were like, oh, this is bad. We just shouldn't do this. And da, 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 da. So I guess it's just our natural reaction to, and we want to see how we want to respond to that, right? And not just give a knee-jerk reaction.
But I think that's a very important point, or a nice example that you're giving. I think the people who were responding the most negatively in COVID, or were the most scared, are the ones who were not trusting that the ones who are doing the policies do it with the right intention. I mean, that was like the biggest, and it's still having its effect today, obviously. So if you don't trust your leaders, of course, all of this is like, it's very hard to understand. It's so complex. The whole thing was so complex. You don't see all the reasons. You don't see the proof, or you need one proof that this is necessary, this change. So, and it's the same in organizations on a lower scale, of course, than COVID. But if you don't trust your managers, it doesn't matter what the manager is doing. You will always react negatively. And Management 3.0 is so much about building trust and having conversations. So what we would like to bring into companies is this mindset change for the managers, but also for the people, that we should and we can trust each other by being transparent, which is very, very important, because that's the feeling that people in COVID had. People on the leaders are not transparent. That's not the real reason. It's not transparent at all. And I understand that because, like, even in my native country, Germany, we are a federal state. So the policies were different from one state to the other. So if I cross the border, the virus is different, behaving differently. So if in an organization, it's the same. If one department is doing differently than the other, like, because they have different mindsets, and it's just not making sense. And this is what we want to tackle with the new transformation programs. We want to tackle the whole organization. We want to see that there is trust, there is transparency, and there is consistency in the way they are working. And that's a challenge, but it's I think a really worth it challenge to do.
Well, change is complex, right? I mean,
yes.
Whether it's organizational change, or we just took the example of COVID. I don't want to classify it into any of the Kinnivan categories, but just saying that, organizational change is so super complex. We need to just experiment a little, be a little open, right? And see how we can transform not just the organization, but also ourselves on that journey.
Yeah. But for organizations, we have something basically as disruptive as COVID was for the society, I think. And this is artificial intelligence. What is coming now will impact us with some tech in private life, but it will impact us as an organization in so many ways that we also need to think differently about leadership. Because first of all, AI will not only take about just thinking about like accounting jobs or anything like this, where you would be scared at first. No, it will take over management jobs. It will take over a lot of operational and also strategic management jobs. And that is scary for a different kind of level in an organization. But it will bring us lots of changes necessarily. That's what we were thinking about with Management 3.0 as well, because we believe that what we have as basic principles would be very useful to kind of not not rescue, but to see what management will be about in the future. And that will be more the human-centered leadership, by giving people, the managers, the time to do actually something that we like, to care about people, and not about, okay, how do I save that next project because it's on fire and I need to write a PowerPoint slide with all the numbers because the CEO was asking for that. Because I can do that. That's nice.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, right? You reminded me now of, going back to your earlier conversation. One of the organizational views with Marty, we've got empower teams, right?
Yeah.
If you look at AI as one of our own colleagues as management, then maybe we just want to empower AI and let it do the other things so that we can just be a little more human and do better things, right?
Exactly. We want to empower the people to do more impactful work, yeah. But we also want to. For me, it's also like treating AI as a colleague.
Yes.
With a different skill set.
Yes.
Very different skill set, but that's good. And we have to integrate that in the team. So people have to trust this new AI colleague, and they have to take, they have to see that the skill levels they all have, the competencies fit together.
Yep. So I think it would be a great idea. Maybe we should do something interesting. I don't know. Maybe it's something that, we can discuss with Sarah and try out in the community itself. Well, if we treat AI as a colleague, can we look at its motivators? Can we see what can we empower? And how can we build a team competency matrix with AI, which is
exactly.
What I'm getting at. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, the motivators, I want to hear about that, how that works. But yeah, maybe. The competency metrics, definitely. That's definitely something we could do with AI, with an AI colleague. So, yeah, and that's great. The different tools work with AI as well that we have.
I think the whole point is, how do we collaborate with our new colleague, AI, right?
Yeah. And also, what do we delegate to him or her? And what do we keep for ourselves? And for me, what we keep for ourselves always is to see which values, which principles we have, long-standing principles we have in our organization. That has to be done by humans because we have to feed AI with this. AI doesn't have an ethical conscious. But if we say, okay, these are the values we have in the organization, these are the guiding principles, okay, then make or propose decisions for something, then it's easier. I can use or misuse AI. But the humans, the managers or the human organization, they have to feed AI in the way that it doesn't make unethical decisions.
Okay, so just doing a quick recap of where we are so far on this journey. So we've crossed the book, we took the book, we've come into the organization, we've started building teams, we've got a community, we've got more transformation, or not transformation programs, but more training and programs out there. And now you are already leading into building a better level of transformation programs so that you can leverage the competence available or the skills that are also available with those to help organizations externally. That's what I've understood so far.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, that beautiful binds also where we started with individual facilitators like you, because we have so many great facilitators spread all over the world, but we didn't leverage them together. And in a bigger program, we can finally get the ones where the approaches, the competencies match together to be even more impactful than one great facilitator will be. If I have 10 great facilitators that match together, then we can create bigger impact. And that's a great thing for me. Also organizationally, it's something, of course, we offer to our customers, but it's also something we offer to our organization, to our facilitators and our team. It's a growth path in so many ways.
Awesome. And just for the benefit of all our viewers and listeners, all the topics that we've been talking about, I'm going to be putting them in the show notes below. So do remember to watch them or listen to them, based on where the link takes you. So Katharina, now that we are almost close to wrapping up, let me ask you some final 2 or 3 really quick questions. One of them being, if you had to give some, let's say 1 or 2 nuggets of advice from your amazing leadership and change journeys that you've been having for, and I don't want to say hundreds of years, for the many years that you've been in. So what would
Don't tell me I'm looking 100 years.
Just kidding. But what would you like to, share with us in terms of that advice?
Yeah. So for me, it's like all about the way you are thinking about people and about organization, about basically everything. And the question is, what if you trust that the other one is acting in its best intention, or hers and his best intentions? Because then the whole approach you will take towards this person will be different. If you are expecting this person to be acting out of negative motivators or with negative intentions, then you will, of course, go in a defense mode, and you will not be in a collaborative mode. Yeah? So for me, the best advice, or the best advice is always so I don't know, from different positions. I don't like that. But the best kind of nugget is to set clear intentions. Like, for example, for an organizational change, what's your intention and your honest intention? Be open about this with the other people, and then see how you can collaboratively achieve those intentions. And the same also in our private lives. It's basically always a good act intentionally, and then lots of things will follow.
Beautiful, beautiful nuggets. Thank you for sharing that. My second question to you, if anybody wants to reach out to you and or Management3.0, where do we find you?
Yeah. So the best way is to go through our website. I'm pretty sure you're also sharing it in the show notes, but it's management3.0.com. And it's a great, that's the way how I came to Management 3.0, right? It can even lead you to become CEO of Management 3.0 if you visit our website. But before that step, you will find free resources that like leadership tools that you can use in your company, but also at home. Yeah, like I said before. And lots of great articles written by, for example, our facilitators. You have written there before, different other facilitators have written there. Great resources for free to get to know to Management 3.0 and learn about the mindset. Of course, you will find workshops there. You will find more information about everything that we talked about there. You will also see what we are doing, how you can work with professionals for Management 3.0, being it facilitators, being it a couple of people from our team who are giving keynotes in organizations or in events. So all of this basically comes from our website, and you will find it there.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And one last question. Any other parting words that you want to close this session with before you step out for the session?
Don't fear to experiment. That's for me the parting words. And if you take one thing from this podcast today, is start with something small, see the results, and then go bigger. And that's a beautiful and very safe way actually to do.
Love that. Totally love that. Thank you so much, Katharina, for being on this amazing way of yours, just being on this show today. Much appreciated.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, as you know.
Thank you. So for all our listeners and viewers, remember to like and subscribe, and hopefully you've gotten some value out of this. And if you have any questions, we are not yet robots, so please write into us. And you know where to reach me, and you now know where to reach Katharina too. So just write to us and feel free to comment in the notes below, and we would be happy to come back to you with responses. And remember to like and subscribe. Until next time, stay safe. Bye.
Bye-bye.